For decades, the 9mm has been hailed as the perfect balance of control, capacity, and affordability. From police departments to everyday carry, it's the gold standard. But behind the scenes, military leaders are questioning whether the round still belongs on the battlefield. Not because of the gun, but because of the ammo itself. Thanks to outdated international laws forcing the military to use full metal jacket FMJ rounds only. The 9mm is being stripped of its stopping power, turning a civilian hero into a battlefield liability. Is the 9mm doomed in military service? Is it time to move on to something bigger, faster, and deadlier? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll see why the 9mm might no longer be the future of combat sidearms. To truly grasp why the 9mm is now under scrutiny by the military, we first need to rewind to its celebrated rise to dominance. The 9mm Parabellum, designed in 1901 by Georg Luger, quickly became synonymous with versatility, reliability, and global compatibility. It was lightweight, affordable, and offered excellent magazine capacity factors that made it a favorite among civilians, law enforcement, and eventually the military. By the 1980s, the U.S. military made a monumental shift from the heavy-hitting Top 45 ACP to the nimble 9mm, adopting the Beretta M9 as the official sidearm. The reasoning was sound: reduce costs, simplify logistics with NATO allies, and arm soldiers with a cartridge that was easier to shoot accurately, even under stress. For decades, the decision appeared bulletproof. The 9mm's balance of performance and practicality made it the king of sidearms. Its minimal recoil allowed faster follow-up shots, and its size enabled higher capacity magazines, key attributes on the battlefield and in self-defense scenarios. But times and warfare have changed. While the 9mm still reigns supreme among civilian carriers, cracks have started to show in its military armor. And those cracks are now leading to heated debates in Pentagon halls and tactical units worldwide. Now, here's where the controversy ignites. Despite its widespread use, the 9mm isn't the silver bullet in military operations that many assume it to be. The core of the problem? Full metal jacket or FMJ ammunition. Under international conventions like The Hague, militaries are strictly forbidden from using expanding bullets such as hollow points in warfare. That means our troops are limited to FMJ rounds, which are designed to pass through targets cleanly without expanding or fragmenting. And that's the catch. FMJ rounds, while reliable in feeding and penetration, often fail to deliver the immediate stopping power needed in the chaos of close-quarters battle. Reports from Iraq and Afghanistan reveal chilling truths: soldiers have found themselves dumping multiple 9mm FMJs into adversaries, especially when facing foes fueled by adrenaline, drugs, or sheer determination. In contrast, civilians and law enforcement enjoy the privilege of carrying hollow point rounds like the federal HST or Spear Gold Dot projectiles, meticulously engineered to expand, transfer maximum energy, and stop threats faster while minimizing over-penetration risks. But our troops? They're forced to rely on outdated, limited FMJ ammo that strips the 9mm of its true potential. It's no wonder frustration is boiling over within the ranks. Some soldiers are openly questioning, if we can't use the best version of 9mm, should we even be using it at all? And that's just the beginning of the controversy. The criticism of 9mm FMJ isn't just theoretical, it's been proven on battlefields. Countless reports from the global war on terror exposed an alarming pattern: soldiers needing far more shots than expected to stop a threat. In the tight, unforgiving corridors of urban combat, especially during house raids, the 9mm FMJ often zipped straight through enemy combatants, barely slowing them down. Worse yet, this over-penetration didn't just waste precious stopping power, it put civilians and fellow soldiers at risk. Meanwhile, these same soldiers see online videos of hollow points effortlessly mushrooming in gel blocks. dumping all their energy into the target, yet in the field, they're forbidden from using them. The frustration is palpable. When your life is on the line and your sidearm is your last hope, you expect it to work the first time, every time. But with FMJ, that's far from guaranteed. Elite units like SOE sometimes get exemptions, but for the average soldier, they're stuck with outdated ball ammo. This glaring gap between what's possible and what's allowed leaves many in the military asking the hard question, why are we still fielding a round that's crippled by international rules? Especially when faster, harder-hitting options exist. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about survival. And the clock is ticking. So what's the solution? For many frustrated voices within the military, the answer seems clear. It's time to explore new calibers. The limitations of the NIMM FMJ have reignited discussions around heavier, harder-hitting rounds like the AUT-40S and W-45 ACP, and even the beastly 10mm Auto. These calibers promise more stopping power, deeper penetration, and potentially fewer shots fired in high-stakes encounters. But switching isn't that simple. Heavier rounds bring more recoil, less capacity, and extra weight factors that burden soldiers already carrying massive loads. Plus, global logistics play a huge role. 9mm remains the NATO standard, which streamlines supply chains and simplifies operations with allied forces. Abandoning 9mm means untangling a decades-old web of compatibility. Still, the hunger for better performance is undeniable. Some units have already tested cutting-edge rounds like the 357 SIG or PDW-class cartridges like 300 Blackout, offering blistering speed, armor penetration, and increased terminal effect. Meanwhile, the Army's next-generation squad Weapon NGSW program has made waves by moving rifle calibers to 6.8 mm, sending a clear signal that lethality is back on the table for both rifles and, potentially, handguns. And here's where things get interesting. The new SIG, MEV-17, and M18, while chambered in 9mm, are modular. That means, if the military ever greenlights a hotter caliber, the same frame could adapt without scrapping the entire platform. The stage is set. The only question is, will the military make the leap? Here's where the plot thickens. Despite all the frustration within the military, the 9mm isn't going anywhere just yet, but the path forward is far from certain. Enter the SIG Sauer 17 and M18, the military's current sidearms. At first glance, they might seem like just another 9mm pistol. But underneath the surface lies a critical feature that could change everything: modularity. These handguns are designed to swap calibers, slides, barrels, and more without overhauling the entire weapon. That means, if the military decides to shift to a hotter round, be it 357 SIG, 10mm Auto, or something completely new, the platform can adapt. No need for a total system reboot. This opens doors to powerful future-proofing. And make no mistake, the pressure is on. From the battlefields of Afghanistan to the streets of future urban conflicts, the demands on sidearms are growing. The military knows it. The next-generation squad weapon program already shook things up by moving rifles to 6.8 mm, proving that lethality is once again a priority. The big question remains: will the same bold leap be made with sidearms, or will the military continue clinging to a compromised 9mm FMJ, knowing full well its limits? The answer could reshape the future of combat sidearms as we know them. Let's set the record straight. While the military grapples with the limitations of 9mm FMJ on the battlefield, in the civilian world, the 9mm remains an undisputed king. And here's why. Unlike military forces shackled by the Hague Convention, banning expanding ammunition, civilians and law enforcement are free to harness the full power of modern hollow points, bonded bullets, and fluted copper designs. These cutting-edge rounds transform the 9mm into a devastating, fight-stopping tool that meets or exceeds FBI standards. You can't overstate the difference. In the hands of civilians, a Glock 19 loaded with premium defensive ammo is a completely different beast than the military's ball ammo sidearm. One hits hard, expands wide, and stops the threat. The other often overpenetrates, underperforms, and leaves soldiers praying for a second or third shot. This is why many shooters scratch their heads when they hear whispers of banning the 9mm. From the civilian standpoint, the round is doing exactly what it should, delivering performance, capacity, and control in a compact platform. But the cold, hard truth is this: what works flawlessly in your EDC rig falls flat in the fog of war when you're stuck with FMJ. That's the brutal duality of the 9mm, an unstoppable king in the streets, but a soldier's compromise in the trenches. So where does this leave the 9mm? For civilians, it's still a powerhouse. The perfect blend of capacity, control, and, with the right hollow points, jaw-dropping terminal performance. But for the military, the writing's on the wall. With the strict handcuffs of international law forcing them to rely on outdated FMJ rounds, the 9mm has been exposed as a compromise, not a solution. And in an era of evolving threats, urban combat, and adversaries wearing body armor, good enough is no longer good enough. The question now isn't whether 9mm works, it does, in the right hands, with the right ammo. The question is, does the military deserve something better, something faster, harder hitting, more adaptable? Maybe it's time to look beyond tradition and embrace the future of sidearm lethality. But here's where you come in. Do you think the military should ditch the 9mm entirely? Or should they double down and demand better performing FMJ alternatives? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a debate we all need to have. And if this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring the bell. Because the next myth we tear apart might just change your view on your favorite caliber. This is about more than guns, it's about survival, evolution, and being brutally honest about what works and what doesn't.